We're just waiting for a few people to chime in, and we can go ahead and get this thing started. Yes, 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 yes. King Conversations, King Conversations, King Conversations. It's a wonderful day to be blessed. It's a wonderful day for us to really chime in, come together. And just create memories. I'm so thankful and grateful that everyone has chimed in, waiting a few minutes. Going live. On this beautiful day. Each and every day is beautiful because we're able to wake up this morning. Each and every morning we're able to wake up. So for those chiming in, because I'm also live on Rumble as well, please put a number 1 in the chat to let me know you here. Like the video. I thank you for the love and support. Your boy Big Truck appreciates you. We're going to talk about right now. I had to get me a bourbon. Every good man knows about a bourbon and cognac. King Conversations. So what we're going to talk about is breaking the cycle. Being able to have leaders, kings, men sitting at the table, talking about it all, letting it all come out. And when you have group discussions like this, it just goes to show, number one, when men come together and able to sit down and have good, fruitful, old school conversations, there's a lot that comes from that. A lot of nuggets, a lot of pure gold. Because it's a beautiful thing when you have men coming together, sitting at the table. So without further ado, grab your shoulder pads and your helmet, and let's get this work. Peep this out.
How do you break the cycle of potential bad habits?
As young as I am, I'm 22, and I'm not really focused on a relationship right now.
Mm-hmm. What you focus on?
I'm focused on my career.
That's why I ain't focused on
So right now, I don't have time for that, aspect really. But as far as breaking the habits of your parents, I just feel like first you gotta realize that those habits that they possess are a problem. Mm-hmm. You gotta notice that there's a problem, and then afterwards, then you just gotta do repetition. You gotta beat.
Right off the rip, talking about breaking cycles, which a large number of individuals, that's hard for them to do. Accountability, it all falls into those parts together. But most importantly, being able to recognize the issues that goes on within our household. And also to make an executive decision of not to follow in those footsteps. I want to break those cycles. you know, those toxic traits, those toxic soul ties. So just as a man, being able to acknowledge those things and to make an executive decision to say, hey, I'm not going to follow down that path that I saw mommy and daddy do that were bad. But on the flip side, there are good paths to follow too, because you have good teachings and bad teachings. Let's continue.
It into your subconscious mind that you want to change those habits. And I think eventually you'll make change.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I think being intentional about recognizing, like, I don't want to be like this. I want to be like this. I have 2 half siblings.
Okay.
And we all got the same dad, different moms. And just seeing the way, like, he did it and seeing the way he currently does it.
What'd you learn from that?
One, wrap up. But
Click it or ticket.
But
That's true.
2, just don't be so like selfish and self-centered. Just try to be as mature as possible.
Can you talk about some of the new things that you're doing?
Man, me and my wife have been married for about 6 years now. So the things that I saw my dad do that worked, man, he was really loving to my mom and everything like that. But man, one of the things my dad had struggled with was the balance of work and family. So that's what I'm trying to work on now myself. Man, it ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? And especially with 5 kids, and then, man, you got, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she's 4, and she's a daddy's girl to the heart. You know what I'm saying? You guys have daughters, man, you'll feel it. You know what I'm saying?
I can imagine, having a daughter, of what that can bring, and I know it's a beautiful thing, and it's always important that children's, the fathers be in the children's lives and so forth. Like the brother here, like he just said, him and his wife was married 6 years. And to be able to share and express those feelings are very important. Not just important, but just knowing the fact that you're not alone when it comes to your children. I know children can be a blessing, but it's just something when a man has a daughter. It's like it touches a certain part of you. And when we see the behavior in a large number of women, the fact that they don't have a father, or they do have a father, but the father is not playing his role in her life as he should, and then we see the outcome of that in a woman's behavior in today. When you social media and everyday life, you see how the impact that it had on that woman when she was a little girl. Her dad wasn't in her life to give that balance. And oftentimes we see the repercussions of that. We see the outcome of that. And 9 times out of 10, the outcome isn't always so good. But when you have men at this table sharing, some husband, the husbands, the fathers, they're sharing their stories, they're sharing their experiences, they're sharing their testimonies. It gives us it gives us a glimpse of the other side that we don't take the opportunity to pay attention to. There are good black men out there. There are good husbands out there and fathers out there. We're seeing these men, we're hearing these men speak at the table. When you begin to share your stories and share your testimonies, it sheds light on a whole lot of things. Most importantly, the point that I want to make, it is so important that a father is home. A father pours into his children. Okay? It is so important, because if a father does not pour into his children, we're going to see that outcome. My bad. We're seeing that outcome today in real life, in real time. The behavior of a large number of women and men when daddy's not in their lives. Let's continue.
I don't want a daughter.
Man, the
22-year-old.
I don't want a daughter.
35-year-old change your life, dog. Change your life, man. Change your life.
Son.
But you know,
How many daughters do you have?
man, I have 2 daughters. I have 3 boys, 2 girls. And
That's
so,
a good ratio.
That's a solid ratio.
man, yeah. So the boys would get to beat up, you know, and that was one of the things. That was one of the good things that my
We
dad
get to beat
did.
up.
Yeah, my dad was really close with me and my brothers. It was just me and my brother. So man, my dad was real close with us, you know. But you know, he was busy, you know. So there's a lot of things that he missed. You know, we played basketball in high school and college, you know, but he was working. So man, he did miss some games and stuff like that. So it's, you know, trying to find that balance now between, you know, my career, things like that, and still trying to get to my kids' games, pick them up from school, stuff like that, man.
Let me ask this question. To other fathers, was it easy for you to have that balance? Or did you have to go through hoops in order to find that balance? Meaning, having to navigate, having to prioritize, having to sit down with your other half, your wife, and to say, okay, this is how we're going to have to do things as a team. This is where both of us need to come to the table with this, because now we have children. So how are we going to have that balance to where, as a husband, you can still go out and do your thing, work, and et cetera, and provide, and your wife provide, or whatever it is that she does? Where do you find the time to have that balance when it comes to the raising of your children? And I know each household is different. I love conversations like this, especially men at the table talking, especially something positive, because so much negative has been put on black men. We get tired of hearing all the negatives. We get tired of the bad narratives about black men in general. Let me bring this home and let me make this point. When it comes to men's mental health, it is so important and so vital that if we don't get a grip, if we don't talk about it, how will we know? How will others know? I said, I'm going to make it a point this year to talk more about men's mental health, men's place, men's strength, men's masculinity. Men do play an important part in this world, in this society. You know, it is hard to be a man. Let me make that clear. From the moment you wake up until nightfall when you lay it down, the things that men go through on a daily basis. And you know, of course, you hear most women say, I can do what a man can do, I can, et cetera, et cetera. No, you can't. Because at the end of the day, after it's all said and done, you don't want to do the things that men do on a daily basis. So when you hear men speak like this and have conversations like this, and I'm not going to keep y'all long, so it's not like we're going to be on live long, but I just want to be on live and go live just enough to bring the truth home and to let it be known how important it is for the men to break the cycles, for the men to place themselves in position for growth and opportunity, that men know who they are and whose they are. Men embrace self, men's awareness, and men's mental health. We got to break the cycle of the bad upbringing and start embracing good upbringing within men's culture, Black culture, men culture, as one. Let's continue.
So that's what I saw he didn't have a strength in, man, that I'm trying to make a strength for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea of breaking the cycle is definitely a theme in my household. Been married for 3.5 years, 2 young sons, got a 4-year-old and a 2-week-old boy.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's right.
But my wife and I, we didn't grow up with our moms and dads in the house, so it's something we're very conscious of, and we're doing something that wasn't really modeled for us. Not growing up with my father, I was very conscious of, like, I knew at a young age, I always wanted kids, and I was like, I know this is the type of father I'm gonna be. So there are moments where I could have used that male influence and guidance in my life, so I knew at a young age, like, this is the type of dad I'm gonna be when I have kids.
Wow, that's similar to me. Like, I didn't have my father growing up. My mom actually cut out my father at like 7 or 8, and then I end up we lost contact with him. I have no idea where he is. Like, sometimes I forget what his last name is. I had that same idea of just like, I'm gonna be the most awesome father, always at the parent-teacher conference.
Let me ask this question. There's been, even if you're growing up without a father, as his brother explained, but you still turned out good. Would it be safe to say that even though, using his case, he didn't grow up with his father in the home, would it be safe to say that he made an executive choice, an executive decision not to be like his father, not to carry down traits, but that toxic soul tie, cut that and say, you know what? I'm going to do better. The same route that I saw my dad go down, I'm not going to go down that same road. I'm going to walk down a different road. I'm going to use wisdom on who I get pregnant and make sure she's my wife material. It don't stop there. Is she mother material? I'm going to be there. We're going to raise our child and we're going to have teamwork. I'm going to be there for my child. I'm going to be there for my family. Would it be safe to say all of those things? As a man, does the man ever have the opportunity to express those things? Because oftentimes we hear many things, but are we even given the opportunity to express those things? Let's continue.
Asking questions, birds and the bees early, you know what I'm saying? Just doing all those things. So there's a lot of relevant there.
Which is not to cut you off, but that's a great way. I think you have some people where it wasn't modeled for them and they didn't have a dad, so that's what they're used to.
It's
and
like a desire now.
It's like it's a fork in the road. You can go left like, oh, my dad wasn't around, so I don't know how to be a dad.
Right.
Or you use that as motivation, like, I didn't have my dad. I know this is how I want to be with my kids.
And I love that. I love that analogy. I love that analogy. And we're going to go in ahead and we're going to go to another video. We're going to go to another video because I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling the things and really into learning more, into sharing more, into opening up the eyes and ears of men in this time and space. Because what usually happens is
she has the freedom to go out and audition.
Most are not given that
Most
are not given that
I make
opportunity.
sure that everything.
So if most are not given that opportunity, then some don't know. I always tell people, if you want to understand men and understand what the vibe and the conversation is like, sit down and have a conversation with one. Sit down and break bread with one. And then you'll know. Then you begin to listen and you begin to understand from a male's perspective when it comes to relationship, love language, families, children, mental health, everyday living life, and so forth. So let's continue.
Everything's taken care of, right? Whenever she starts booking the 8 or 9 years of national commercials, then I'm gonna sit back and be like, okay,
Your turn.
Stay at home dad status, right?
Hey,
No
nothing wrong with
shame.
that. Right? There's verbal.
Acts of service, personal touch.
Right. Say it again.
Acts of service and personal touch. I need that.
Okay, I need you to explain.
I just need my wife to touch me.
Okay. That's it. As I sip it from the cup.
No,
So touch.
Like he looked at the camera. He hopes you watch this.
Right.
But yeah, quality time is one that's important to me.
Yeah.
I loathe.
This is one where I would say for the ladies to watch, for the ladies to sit back and observe, for the ladies to sit back and take in, because the men are telling you what they want, what they need, what they desire, and how to be treated, and so forth. And when you listen, using your imagination, taking in all of this knowledge, taking in this, this session, even you can even apply it. Apply it to your life. Apply it to your personal. There may be a guy that you like or someone that shows up on your radar. And you hear men. These are married men. Some are married, some are not. But you're hearing it from men about what they need, what they want, and et cetera, and so forth. Let's continue.
When I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're texting. Because I know you're not giving me your undivided attention.
Right.
And I'm the type of person that will give you my, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the type that'll give you my undivided. So if you're not doing the same, then
Especially a significant other, man.
Oh,
That's-
absolutely. And then they pretend like they can hear everything you're saying,
Yeah,
process
that's
it.
impossible.
No, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, you say
Total disregard.
okay, what now? So it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's something my wife and I have had to work through since, the first
Do you
year
guys
of marriage.
both do business together? You guys both entrepreneurs? Like, I'm
No,
curious.
so she's in the industry. She sings, models, acts, and I'm a corporate sales professional.
Got you.
So there's a balance with that. She had
Key word he said, balance. He said there is a balance. They're both professionals. It's obvious they're both making 6 figures. But the key word he said, we have a balance. And you don't hear a large number of women that say that they have a balance in their love life or a balance in their marriage. Let's make that clear. You mean to tell me they both making 6 figures and they have a balance? If you just chiming in because I'm live on YouTube and live on Rumble, please put a number 1 in the chat to let me know you feeling me. Let me know you here. I love to hear from you. Like the video. Let's continue.
Has the freedom to go out and audition and, you know, do that stuff. I make sure that everything is taken care of, right?
Gotcha.
Whenever she starts booking the 8 or 9 years of national commercials, then I'm gonna sit back and be like, okay,
Your turn.
Stay at home dad status, right?
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I love it.
We talked about having a woman earn more money. I would welcome that
I
opportunity
would too, man.
because like I said,
I like being.
Wait. Listen to what he said. He don't have a problem with the whole thing of women making more money than him. See, when it comes to that, when you have a partner and you have your teammate and y'all doing it together, who cares about who makes more money than who? Because money that is being made goes into the household. So it don't matter. I know a large number of women have that complex, have that thing, he needs to make more than me. Look, if it was me, I can care less. Because at the end of the day, we have a household together. We gonna be good. And I remember Cheryl Underwood did she was on Club Shay Shay. And shout out to my man Shannon Sharp. Ball players were doing our thing. Here's the thing. That question came up. And even she said herself, her husband's the head of the household. Yeah, she makes more money than him, but she still lets him lead. That is his position. She stands by him. And you know what? Just to hear her say that, it makes sense. You know how much sense that makes? To have your teammates say, so what? Okay, I make more money than you. And at the end of the day, your position is king. Your position is the head of this house. And as your wife, I got your back. I stand beside you. Even Cheryl Underwood, she received some slack behind that, but that's reality. And most modern individuals don't like it when reality is being presented to them right in front of their face, because it causes them to look at themselves. And a large number of individuals do not want to look at themselves. They want to look at everybody else. They want to point the damn finger at everybody else instead of looking at themselves. But those are the same individuals that questions their love life. Where's all the good men at? Where's all the good women at? When you going to look at you? When you going to sit back and examine you? When you going to sit back and pull back the layers of your life, your past? When are you going to have a conversation with yourself? Man or woman enough to sit back and have a conversation with yourself and look at your past and look at what you need to get done. What traumas are you dealing with that you know you need help with? Instead of love bombing and blame shifting. It's everybody else but you. Let's continue.
As long as she is the same. If she make more money, if she had the same thought process as you have, like,
well, of course, because like I said, it's all coming to the same place.
Right.
It's a collective.
Because women get more money and be like, so we just gonna spend all my money, but we don't think that way, right?
Nah,
You know what I mean? Not to get back on finances. I'm just saying that's a part of it.
There's nothing wrong with being on finance. I think that's a good.
That's real. But that's also I think couples that look at finances separately would be more inclined to deal with that issue as opposed to one that has already developed a system where we look at everything collectively.
Okay.
So if she gets, we have a year where she can, tear it up in Hollywood and everything is good,
That's right.
and I can chill at home and make sure that the kids are taken care of, I would welcome that.
That's
Right.
right.
There is no pride that would not allow me to do that.
When it comes to a couple, what understanding do the both of you have? And whatever understanding, overstanding that you two come with, and that works for you, man, make that bad boy work. See, everyone has a different understanding. What works for one household may not work for the next household. What works for one person may not work for the other. That's where the term 50-50 teamwork comes into place. A large number of individuals took that terminology and just spent it all out of control and took it somewhere where it doesn't need to go. It never was meant to go, just like being submissive. There's nothing wrong with being submissive. Because I'm going to tell you something. Let the right person come into your life. You gonna submit like a mother sucker. You're going to change. You're going to humble yourself. Why? Because reality is going to sink in and you're going to keep that person. You're going to realize how valuable that individual really is. And a woman's nightmare, I'm going to tell you something. A woman's nightmare is when the man that they had got away and someone else took him and treated him right. Run tell that.
What's your love language?
Man,
Because you're in the heat
communication.
of things right now. With
No,
a
I know, right?
serious relationship.
Just communication. Like I never liked if when my girl, if she's sad or she's going through something, she can't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like because that can go for days and weeks and just being quiet and us not communicating verbally.
To weigh.
Yeah, it weigh on you, especially as a man. When your woman not talking to you, you like your day can go bad. Everybody knows that. So like communication, I tell so when I first got with her, I really told her, look, this is me. This is what I like in a woman, and I didn't sugarcoat anything because the games people play in relationships is too much sometimes. It's too heavy, especially in the beginning, obviously. So what happens with that is when you're just honest and truthful with the person, it helps. So I communicated very well with her what I've been through, the type of girl that I like now, a woman, and where we can go if we just do this. And it's not controlling, it's just communication.
And that's what we're seeing in real life, in real time. Men communicating what they need. It's not about what you want. Yeshua HaMashiach knows what you want. But when you are dealing with a woman, excuse me, a woman that's sitting across from you, be honest, open, and clear about what you need from her in a relationship. Most women have never, I can't say never heard, but most women, when it comes to dealing with a man, you notice I said man, not ninja, not Pookie and Ray Ray and them, but a full-grown masculine man, it's a totally different ball game. Because a masculine man, let's be clear, a masculine man carries himself a certain way. He's assertive, he communicates, he gives you good eye contact, he let his yes be yes and his no mean no. He stands on business, he stands on integrity. His character, his presence speaks for itself. Without him even opening up his mouth and saying anything, you will know who he is, the fruit that he carries by his presence. And his character will show you. Most, I would say most, have never been around a man like that. Because, once again, it goes back to your childhood. Was your father like that? Did you see your father treat your mother and love your mother unconditionally and take care of business in the home? Either yes or no. It's a yes or no question. Did you have mommy and daddy pour into you? It's a yes or no question. Because if mommy and daddy poured into you in a way, your behavior as an adult is going to reflect that. Wow. She saw mommy and daddy open up the door for her. Saw daddy go to work and come home and take care of home. If mommy and daddy had a problem, they talked about it behind closed doors. They didn't do it in front of us. We never saw daddy put his hands on mommy. We never saw daddy disrespect mommy. But we did see daddy love mommy. We did see daddy help around the house and help mommy out. We seen daddy being supportive. These are the things that we saw daddy do. Daddy stuck up for us and protected us when it was needed. Daddy rewarded us when we did good. Daddy punished us when we were out of line. These were the things that we saw daddy do. Did that happen in your household? Because in a larger number of women today, we won't see that. I'm going to go a step further. You started dating, your daughter started dating, your daughter started liking boys. And your daddy had to give the approval. So therefore, when he come over to the house, he had to have a sit down with daddy. And daddy had to have a conversation with him. And if daddy approved, he allowed y'all to date. If daddy disapproved, well, you already know.
So now, if she's heard about something, she'll tell me. Like, don't wait until 2 weeks from now and be like, "Oh, I went through this," because at that moment, I'm not gonna care really. It's 2 weeks later. Right. So we could talk about it. Even the best time to talk about something, sometime, believe it or not, is in your emotions, because it can get hype. Like the hype can go up of how loud you communicate or how much you argue, but something is going to get accomplished right there. But if you wait too late, it's going to be like, well, at that moment I was just thinking about this and that. But if you talk about it when it's going on, I'm telling you, it will really help the whatever the problem is. But sometimes people just shut down. Yeah. And shutting down is not healthy. Period. Communication, man, is everything.
I think that's part of the social conditioning that some people have. I grew up in an environment where certain problems are talked about. If that problem affects everybody, we talk about it. If it doesn't, then you don't talk about that. Wow. And it's not that wasn't a rule. It's just that's just the way that it was. Now, I don't know all the 5 love languages because I feel like there are more than just 5 in the way that I love. I love making people laugh. I know right now I may seem a little serious in this round table talk, but I am the biggest nerd and goofball. I'm gonna play pranks, I'm gonna crack jokes, I'm gonna tell you crazy stories, I'll tell you what happened in my day. One of my love languages is making you laugh. Whether you're my best friend that I played college ball with, or if you're my little sister or my significant other. Also, I like physical touch, but too much of it, it's like a cat. You rubbing a cat, and after a while they're like, all right, that's enough. It's sometimes it can be a little too much. I had a rough time dealing.
I love having these type of conversations and having keen conversations and the conversation and reviews, because it shows the other side. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It shows the other side of men that most don't get to see because so much negative has been spewed and put out there about men. But when you hear and see the positives and really diving deep into it, like, wow, you mean to tell me when it comes to men, just communicate, just listen and apply? That's it. Men are simple. Men are telling you what they need from you, ladies, and it's not much. Men are not coming with no requirement. They're not coming with no long list. They're not coming with, all these high, unrealistic expectations. The things that men are coming with are realistic expectations, but they are simple expectations. It don't take much to be respectful, to be kind, to be fit, feminine, friendly. It doesn't take much. Communicate. Teamwork. Are you mother material? Are you wife material? Are you girlfriend material? These are simple questions. Are you nice? Are you kind to yourself and kind to others? Human kindness. Are you willing to go the extra mile for your man? Let's continue. Let's continue to feast.
With that wonderful creature that we call a woman, because I didn't know how to understand her. So my love language is like, you never will. And you never will because you are not them. It's like I don't know what it feels to be 7.5 feet tall, and I never will because I'm not. But I'm just using a crude example. But one of my love languages, is laughter. And communication is definitely key. I don't know if these other love languages, so anybody out there, excuse me if I'm getting them wrong. But I'm one who grew up with a lot of conformity and a lot of rules and a lot of stringent guidelines. I am more having more of an amoeboid type of approach to things. Is fluid. Like I'm more natural. Nature doesn't go with rules and stringent lines and angles and things like that. I like things to be fluid, which is why I communicate. And I can, to your point, Kay, sometimes being in your emotions when you communicate, one of your love languages, if you, any of you do something, say we all best friends, right? And I have something that is very near and dear to me, but it's personal and it's private and it hurts when you bring it up. And you make a joke about it in front of somebody that I don't know. I'm gonna give you that look like, Kay.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, bro? Because if I say, oh, Kay, come on, man, don't josh me like that. No, I'm gonna let you know, hey, man, that ain't cool, bro. Yeah. Because if you don't do that, you're honest with yourself, but honest with that other person. Like, hey, man, that's not what we do. Yeah. And with that level of communication, sometimes I've been told in relationships or dating that I'm intimidating. Because of my size, my voice, my stature, and the way I look. They say the look on my face is like a look of death. And someone that
why you gotta look my direction?
one woman that I dated one time, she just went and started talking about some private stuff.
Men, have that ever happened to you? A woman told you that you were intimidating because of the way you carry yourself, because of the way that you move, because it's not something that she's used to. You see? Because a real woman is not going to be intimidated of you. But a real woman is going to receive you. Let's be clear about that. How many times have we been in situations? I know that I can speak for myself. I've been in situations where a woman has told me that she was intimidated of me because of my size. I mean, I'm an athlete. I do executive protection for a lot of celebrities. I push SUVs for leg workouts and cardio. I bench press 400 pounds. But take the time to get to know me. You will know I'm like a big old teddy bear. Just because I'm a nice, good man, and now here's the flip side. I ain't stupid either. I ain't no fool. And nowadays you have most that you let them talk long enough, you'll find out everything about them. And we see that large number of good men don't get chosen by modern feminist women, but they do get chosen by a good woman with good sense and a woman of good character. We do see that. Let's continue.
To people, and I say, hey, come here for a second. What are you doing? You know, I gave her that look like, why would you do that to me? You know what I'm saying? She was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, that's not for everybody to know. And you don't do that.
Personal.
You know, it's personal. And she understood. I'm like, don't spread my business. You know, and she was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, and I had to back up. But it was like, I told you that in confidence. You don't do that to me. You know, you don't want me spreading your business.
So trust.
So going to your point, with the emotionality that comes with relationships, whether you're married or in a relationship or recently out or single, you know, you have to, that level of communication will let you know up front, if you're honest with yourself and upfront with communication, let you know if that's the person you need to be with. Because if you have a problem with me expressing myself within this situation, well, you should know better, then now I know better.
Yeah.
Right.
100.
Well,
Respect.
wow. Tell me about that love language, man.
Communication was my weakest love language. I will say that. Because for me, coming from a military background, everyone in my family is in the military aside from myself. So we didn't talk about problems or issues. But from the males that were in my family, the love language that was constantly displayed was being able to provide to where your significant other didn't have to worry about anything. Wow. So my love language was more so to make sure we would always have food on the table. We had a place. Anything you wanted to do. Actions, yeah. Like anything you wanted to do, I would bust my ass, or I would work hard to. I would work hard to make sure that we could do that, and that.
I get what you're saying, and it goes from what your upbringing was. Like you said, this is where he came from, so this is what he's used to. Hey, you know what? I'm a provider. I'm going to make sure the house is good. I'm going to make sure everybody has what they need, make sure no one suffers, make sure everyone is good. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because as a man, as a husband, as a father, you want to make sure your household is good. You want to make sure everybody is good. You want to make sure things are taken care of. These are the type of conversations that most don't want to have, or conversations like this that most have a problem with because it's talking too much about positivity. Everything that they're saying, they're right. You see, these men are not acting nor behaving so worldly. Okay, I bet you if this was a show where they spew all the bad dirt on each other and you just go at it, hell yeah, we'd get a lot of ratings. Because that's the narratives, and those are the things that folk want to see. Most don't want to see the positive side. Most don't want to see good men, husbands having conversations and just getting along with each other. Most don't want to see that. But this is what reality is. Not just social media or what take place in real time. But no, you really, really do have good men out there. Good husbands and good fathers out there. you really do have it. And they really do sit down and have men conversations at the table and have fruitful conversations where you can pull you can get the knowledge, you can sit back and you can listen to what men need, what men are saying. If you chiming in, please put a number 1 in the chat and like the video. I appreciate that. We need to increase them likes. I have no likes. I need some likes. Let's continue.
And it won't be a stress on your back. Communication is one that I'm really working on because that was like a detriment to my previous relationship. And I was aware of that, but I was too selfish to like address it. When I came to the end of my previous relationship, she told me that one of the biggest issues was my lack of communication, my lack of just being verbally honest with what I wanted, where we were at. So like now, post-relationship, back again to therapy has been able to help me be able to communicate more of what I'm feeling, what I want, not being too afraid to say like, you know, I want to hit this level in our relationship before we do X, Y, and Z. I wasn't doing that in my previous, but I was always making sure like, hey, if we want to do something,
Got it.
I got that.
Right.
You know, so
Another thing that I found in recently, because I've been doing a lot of self-realization, self-preparation, self-repair. You know what I'm saying? You know, having dealt with a lot of pain, emotional and social pain, which leads to physical pain. And you're stressed out.
I like what he said. As a man doing self-repair, as a man being able to look at yourself and say, what areas do I need repair in? What areas do I need help in? What areas in my life that I need healing in order to be the best version of myself for many people to see? That is so important as a man. Let me take the time to look at self. Let me take the time to examine self. Let me take the time to embrace self. Let me take the time to love self. Let me take the time to acknowledge self. Let me take the time to get to know self all over again. As a man, listen, sometimes as a man, you have to get to know yourself all over again. As a man, sometimes you have to be willing to spend time with yourself. Sometimes as a man, you got to have time of reflection. What things could you've done better? What didn't make sense to you back then now makes sense to you? As a man, we have to be willing to look at these things. And not only have to be willing to look at these things, but accept what is. Like I've always said here at the King's Table, men are the important piece to this game called life. Let's continue.
Stuff like you said, get bound up in your back and your neck, you know, all that stuff, you know, cracking your neck and popping a lot, you're probably dealing with some stress. But being open with your communication within the emotionalities that are at play, whether it's anger or sorrow or fear or happiness, you allow the other person to not only see your vulnerabilities, but it drops that wall or that veil to where they can probably feel more comfortable. Because sometimes if you hold something in, you know, like your therapist, you know, he stands there or sits there and stares at you and doesn't say anything, and you're like, well, I don't know what to say. But if you say, hey, yo, you know, I'm really sad right now, and I don't know why. You're expressing something to someone, and they may be sad at times too. And the fact that you can open up and express that to them can afford them a chance to maybe drop down walls that they may have and be open with you. I had a young lady that I dated once, and I said, well, just do this and go over here because these people over here are nosy and I don't like people in my business. They can be saying stuff that ain't true. And she said, well, why don't we do this? Because if we do that, I'm just telling you right now, Tree is my nickname. She said, Tree, that makes me feel uncomfortable. I've been hurt a lot, and I don't do well with situations like that.
Right.
Boom. I knew exactly where she was coming from.
Yep.
I understood. And sometimes it's not about the emotion. It's the way, it's understanding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If a child is screaming and crying because they're afraid of the dog, you don't take them and put them in front of the dog. You pick it up and say, oh, hey, it's going to be okay. I understand.
Right.
You know, and then you make sure that that dog's not around when that child is around, because that traumatizes and terrifies the child. So with me, I had to learn to bring back my stuff, because a lot of my stuff was, I was small as a kid. You know,
Really?
scrawny little kid. You know, I was little, you know, and I got bullied and picked on and talked about. He used to call me Howdy Doody, you know.
A lot of the things, and I applaud this brother for sharing, but a lot of times we carry stuff. Men carry stuff. Men carry the baggage of their past. Okay? And when you put yourself in position as a man to say, I need to make an executive decision to deal with the things of my past so a better version of myself will be seen by many, you're going to do that. Release so that you can increase. There's a lot of men, there's a large number of men out there carrying things, and they're releasing it in the wrong way. I know for me, because I was carrying things, what helped me to release was playing football. You know, being able to knock the shit out of somebody, it felt good. Not only it was an adrenaline rush, but it felt good to knock the crap out of somebody. I had to release that. I had to release the things that I was carrying, because I was carrying the things of my past. And I was a skinny kid too. I was a nerd in high school. Believe it or not. Let's continue.
And I grew up. You know, I got bigger and started protecting myself. You know, I turned myself into this machine, and that I found to be not only intimidating but debilitating to whatever relationship that's at play. And it took me years to control that anger. I had one sister, she got in my face, and she got right in my face. And she said, you are one angry blank, 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 blank. And she stood right there in my face, little bitty thing. And I was like, and the way she said it, it just rang my bell. And I was like, and I did it, and I'm standing there and I realized what my posture was, right? Do you all remember the cartoon, The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah.
When Quasimodo didn't even know he had that dude by his shirt and was holding him up off the ground.
Yeah.
And he said, can you not put me down, please? And he was like, oh, you don't realize what you're giving until someone really gets in your face and lets you know what that is.
Yeah.
And I've been this monster I've had this monster that I keep in the basement at all times. I keep him on a chain. And I'm the only one with the key. And I'm like, you don't want to see that monster. And I've been focusing on keeping that and turning, not letting, I don't want to get rid of the monster. It's a cool monster. You know, but I had to learn how to train my monster so that I don't let that monster loose on someone that could possibly be the woman that brings me to my destiny, as you said before.
So do you know what that monster like originally?
Training behaviors. Certain behaviors that developed in us that we act out, whether it's inappropriate or not inappropriate. But we have to be mindful and be aware of those behaviors. If it's bad behaviors, yes, we have to acknowledge those bad behaviors. But we have to be willing to do something to shift those behaviors. Because there's a difference between bad behaviors and good behaviors. Okay? Bad energy, good energy. All right? I remember being picked on in high school, in junior high school. Skinny kid with glasses. Okay? half Jamaican and Samoan, just because I had those two dominant mixtures, I wasn't developed all the way yet until like my senior year in high school. But reflecting over those times, develop certain characteristics. When you're being bullied by people, okay, you being disrespected and humiliated, especially around the girls, that does something to you. It really does. But over time, character development, okay, being able to place yourself in position so that you can peel back those layers and deal with them one by one, so that the best of you will be seen by many, and the best of you will be appreciated by many. Let's continue.
Originates from?
Oh yes, I know my stuff.
And have you? So back to the relationship. Like the reason why I used to have horrible communication and why I initially was afraid to have like a long, significant relationship is because the first woman that I loved, that we all were supposed to love, was our mom.
Mm-hmm.
We had a terrible relationship.
Mm.
I never wanted to have that. So that happened to me as a child. I carried that along with me for years and never addressed it and never thought that it was stemming from a traumatic incident that I had with her as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice that until I started going to therapy.
I completely understand fully. I had that same thing with my mother, of a thing that took place in my childhood that I could not forgive, I could not erase. It was trauma. It was a lot. But guess what? The more I carry those things, it will show up in my love life. It will show up in my social life. Okay? Patterns. That P word, patterns. Okay? And it wasn't until 2019, going through a divorce, that reality had backed me up into a corner where I had no choice but to look at myself. It's almost like Yeshua placed me in front of a door and said, it's up to you. You walk through that door, things in your life is going to change. It's going to be a journey. Or you don't walk through that door and you continue on life, normal operations. I chose to walk through that door. I didn't know what to expect. But one of the first things was I had to go back and face my past. I had to go back and deal with that. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy. Not seen my mother for like almost 20 years because I've been carrying stuff. But the moment I saw my mother, after 20 years, the moment I seen her, the moment I was able to address those issues, address those things, why didn't you protect me? Why wasn't you there for me? Why did you physically, mentally, emotionally abuse me like you did? Because all in all, as a result of that, now you see who I'm attracted to, what I'm drawn to. My mother then said, I apologize. I was never taught how to be a mother. Will you forgive me? I said, Mother, I forgive you. Mother, I love you. And I'm going to tell you something. The gates of heaven bust wide open. And now me and my mother have a relationship. You see? And this was going through counseling as well. Because might I remind you, that same time, going through a divorce. That same time being put out on the street and still having to go to work. I got a powerful testimony. But overall, what I'm saying is I had to be willing to go back and face my past. I had to be willing to go back and correct things that needed to be corrected. It wasn't easy, but it had to be done in order for me to be put in a better position for many people to see and share my testimonies, because there's other men out there that are suffering. There's other men out there that are hurt. There's other men out there that have been abused. There's other men out there that are carrying trauma from their childhood past. There's other men out there. They need to know that Big Truck love you and appreciate you and understands you. I've been there. I know what it's like to be homeless. Been there. I know what it's like to have people shit on you. Been there. I know what it's like to have people tell you, get over it. Go on with your life. If they have never been through it, you're gonna straight give them the F you finger. You don't know what it's like to hurt. You don't know what it's like to bleed. You don't know what it's like to sit in tears. You don't know what it's like to have it rough because you haven't walked in those shoes. Let me sit down and break bread with someone that have walked in those shoes. Let me shake hands with someone that has been there, that know what it's like to struggle. They know what it's like to have your heart shattered into a million pieces, ripped out of you, shattered into a million pieces, and then put back into you. And you're supposed to be fine with the results. Bullshit.
When the right questions are asked. And a lot of times when you feel like going to like an aunt or an uncle or something like that, there's a lot of times those stories they don't want to unveil to you.
Exactly. Yep.
But a therapist, he doesn't care, honestly, what I feel like or if I'm going to be embarrassed by him asking this question. He has the freedom. He has the objective ability to do that. So that's why I think therapy may be good and may actually be able to help you find out what you really need to do to tame that beast behind you.
Wow. And you heard it here first. This is a great place to
was
end.
great exclamation point on that.
This is a great place to end. That is it for us today. I didn't say my love language, but it is communication, and I love touch. All right.
With the men, as we continue to grow with this channel, as we continue to share, as we continue to receive, as we continue to have fun, as we continue to learn, okay? This is a good platform for men to come and share in the comments, okay? Thank you for sending me the emails. I'm appreciative of that. Whether if I go Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Rumble Live, I'm telling you, I'm getting this word out. This will be a good, safe platform where men can come and express and be themselves, will not be judged. You know, we may come from different places, but a lot of us are occupying the same spaces. And it doesn't matter from our youngest to our eldest, from our eldest back down to our youngest. As men, we're going to bring back the masculine men because the masculine men has lost its way, for one. Number two, the game is to be told, not sold. Men coming together, spitting that game. Men coming together, sharing stories, testimonies, and encouraging other men to be better, do better, live better. Tomorrow's not promised. Today is not promised. The hour, the minutes, the seconds is not promised. You don't know what can happen. But I will say this, as men, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. Share your story. What things have you overcame? That's my question that I ask and propose to a lot of men that watch this video. Please leave me a comment. What things, obstacles have you overcame in your life? Your boy Big Truck want to know. Until then, shalom.